Welcome to Crossville Profiles, a venture about the people, pride, and progress of the Cumberland Plateau.
Welcome to Crossville Profiles. I'm Beth Davis with the Cumberland County Mayor's Office, and today on our show we have Eric Wharton, and he's the Director of Veteran Services with Workforce Development from the state level, and we're going to be talking about a bicycle ride across Tennessee to raise awareness of advantages for hiring veterans. So Eric, thanks for being here today.
Thank you very much for having me, Beth.
So tell us about this cross-state bike ride. Like how long of a ride are we talking about? Like how many miles, how many stops, that kind of thing?
So it's 577 miles, and that was kind of the idea behind the TN 577.
Oh, good.
Cross Tennessee, 17 stops along the way, beginning in Memphis and ending in Kingsport.
Perfect.
Right around 17 days later. Well, 21 days later, actually. So.
And why did you want to get on a bike and pedal across the state of Tennessee?
Well, I figured initially, it's an extreme thing to transition out of the military. What can I do that's going to be an extreme thing in nature to bring awareness to a good cause?
Good. Yeah, good correlation.
And when I first said with bike ride, everybody's like, motorcycle? And I said, no.
I know. When I first heard, I was like, oh, motorcycle ride, that's nice.
No. Yeah.
Well, that's a good correlation for that. But so, as you make your stops in these towns, what is the message that you want people to take away from that stop?
So I wanted a two-way dialogue. I really wanted a two-way dialogue with veterans getting out of the military to know that there's other communities in Tennessee that are more than willing and receptive to hire them, and then also leverage the community's ability to tell their story of what they have to offer. So that way, it's a two-way communication with communities need workforce.
Sure.
Veterans provide a valued, highly trained workforce, and a lot of times veterans don't have the sounding board, or the communities haven't had a sounding board to tell the story. And veterans are eager to hear it. They don't have enough of a voice to hear it either. So I was trying to do a two-way communication.
And that's what the vets have told. What is their knowledge of the services available?
Yeah, so that's what started it. When I retired out of Fort Campbell after 26 years in the Army, I didn't know the American Job Centers existed.
Okay.
And consistently, I keep hearing the best kept secret is the American Job Centers. And I said, we've got to do something different to tell that story, that this is a readily available resource that's just not utilized or aware of. And so that's what started it, and then I just kind of morphed into, two-way communication and dialogue, so.
So each AJC has their own veterans representative there that will help vets.
Yeah, absolutely. Each American Job Center has, whether it's a LEVR, or local veterans employment representative, or DVOP, which is a disabled veteran outreach. And some of the smaller affiliates has a comprehensive, which is a little bit of both.
Okay.
And the purpose of that is to be able to provide the intensive services, resume writing, interview prep, but also the business development aspect of it in those communities. So yes.
And small towns like ours have just as much to offer than the bigger cities too. I mean, we love to have vets here.
Absolutely, and again, the bigger part of the story doing this is exposing what we would never have known. Crossville is the golf capital of Tennessee. That was number one. Number two was the Cumberland County property taxes is 1.54% for homes. That is huge, and so your quality of life could go further in a place like this. It's not just about bigger cities. It's about a lot of the quality of life that these rural communities have to offer. And that was what I learned today even. And I was like, golf capital of Tennessee, who wouldn't want to do that when they retire from service?
We want to golf all day and cheap to live here.
Absolutely.
We want that. And then on the other side of that coin is, what are the benefits that to hire a retired military? What are those benefits for us?
The biggest benefit is that they are highly skilled, dedicated, loyal, and resilient, and all these things that they've been taught in the military, structured, disciplined, and just natural leaders.
Right.
That's something that you just can't get from a high school graduate. And it's something that the industry is constantly echoing, this is what we need in our workforce.
Sure.
And so a lot of times the biggest part is the translation of a kid that comes out of the military that's not just an infantry soldier. He brings much more to the
Way
table.
more to the table, yeah.
And it's getting that connection with industry to understand that as well, so.
Well, good. Well, I have a lot more questions about the ride
Yeah,
itself, but
absolutely.
we've got to take a short break, and we'll be right back with Crossville Profiles.
Welcome to the Crossville Cumberland County Tourism Channel. If you would like to see your business, organization, or event on this channel, please call 931-484-4546.
Welcome back to Crossville Profiles. We've been speaking with Eric Horton, and we're talking about the bike ride across Tennessee that will bring awareness to the advantages of hiring vets. So we talked about bringing the awareness to the vets, but this bike ride, and you said it was
577.
miles. Okay, and what has been the toughest part of this ride for you?
Oh, man. Okay, so the toughest part of the ride, physically, was actually Lexington to Centerville. It was about 65 miles, 3,800 feet elevation. It rained, sleeted,
Oh, and
hailed, and
snowed all the
snowed
time.
the whole time. And so that was the toughest part of it. Yeah.
Wow, yeah. And have you had any mishaps along the way?
Yes, we had a flat tire on Tuesday after we launched on Monday. And then, at the start of the race, we had a break-in our car before we launched. So other than that, we haven't had any other mishaps along the way. So
That's good.
just cold weather, rain.
Yeah, it has been kind of a bad week,
Yeah.
hasn't it? But, so, the opposite of that, what's been one of the most rewarding things with your journey across Tennessee?
We retired in Tennessee in 2016, and in the past, a couple years since then, I've only known about bigger cities. What I have learned, coming through some of these rural areas, is the job availabilities, the big companies that nobody tells a story about. But I'm getting to see the quality of life aspect, and in the military, it's such a tight community of support for each other. Coming to Cookeville and then coming to Crossville, I have never had as big of support that makes it feel like it's back in the military. Like so many people that weren't veterans came together to make this happen.
Yeah.
Rich Froning rode from Cookeville to Crossville with us today and brought a whole entourage of people with him to do it. It's just the amount of community support for this, and then getting to see things like, I seen a drive-in the other day, and I haven't seen a drive-in in years.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, man, there's so much that these communities have to offer that nobody knows about.
Right.
So I'm getting to see things, smell things, hear things that you just don't get when you're stuck in a bigger city.
Yeah, for
absolutely.
sure, yeah. So you'll be leaving Crossville and Cumberland County and going on to the Tri-Cities, so you've got quite a few more miles to go. Do you have any tricks up your sleeve that help you get on that bike every day? And
well,
and
there's
go?
no really, the way that I kind of broke it down, I kind of figured the hardest day was the Lexington to Centerville. And I just try to track elevation every day, because I try to mentally prepare for the elevations, because those hills and mountains are brutal on a bicycle.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure coming up from Cookeville to
oh
there
man,
kind
it
of
was, each day was 2,800 feet or a little bit less or a little bit more, so.
Well, maybe tomorrow will be downhill, because since we're up here.
The plateau, so now it's going to be pretty easy until Knoxville, I think.
Yeah.
When we leave on Monday for Knoxville.
So has it been harder or easier than you thought it was going to be when you began?
I honestly expected it to be harder. That was the initial part of it. So I thought it was going to be a lot harder. I've never rode a bike before.
I was going to say, were you a cyclist before
No,
this?
I was not. So that's
Okay.
why I thought it was going to be harder. But I realized the difference between, running marathons and bicycling is a little bit different.
It is.
And you just hurt in different areas. But I kind of thought it was going to be, I've maybe oversighted myself up that it was going to be a lot harder than what it really was.
Yeah.
And I think dealing with the people at each location has made it much more eventful, leaving it.
Yeah,
So
that
it's
makes it nice.
kind of like you have a good homecoming every single day. So it makes
That's
it better.
pretty cool, yeah. Well, before we get out of here today, because we're almost out of time, is there a message that you want our viewing audience to know?
Yeah.
You want to get across to them?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Fort Campbell, for example, has between 4,800 and 6,000 veterans that transition out. And out of that, only 32% have chose to stay in Tennessee. So that's a huge
Wow.
impact of veterans that
Yeah.
don't know what Tennessee has to offer. And they generally go back where they enlisted from the service from, not recognizing that the reason why they joined the service was to generally get away from what they're going back to.
Sure.
And so if we can help close that knowledge gap a little bit differently, we can, instead of having 32%, we can have 60%.
Right.
And we need them, and they just don't know that we
Sure.
need them, so,
Well, this is a great way to bring that awareness, which is, you know, your whole goal. So,
absolutely.
well, that's great. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for having me.
Good. I'd also like to thank the staff and students of Gateway Productions, and thank you for watching Crossville Profiles.